Bills fans, let's dive straight into what this matchup against Tampa Bay really means, because this is one of those games where every detail matters. The Buccaneers come in with 6 wins that tell a story of a team that has survived chaos, leaned on its veterans, and found just enough rhythm to stay ahead in their division. Even with constant injuries and players rotating in and out, they somehow managed to stay competitive, which says a lot about the structure and identity they've built over the last few seasons. And at the center of everything stands Baker Mayfield, a quarterback who has reinvented himself in Tampa. Ever since he arrived, the guy has pieced together one of the most compelling comeback arcs in the league. After bouncing from Cleveland to Carolina to Los Angeles, he finally landed in a place that trusted him, gave him responsibility, and let him lead. You can see the difference. He's confident, he's comfortable, and even with the bumps this season, he's still delivering performances that keep the Buccaneers' offense afloat. The numbers highlight his consistency, but they don't show the full weight of the situation around him. New system, rotating receivers, offensive linemen battling injuries, and an oblique issue that clearly limits how much he can move. When Baker is fully healthy, he thrives on extending plays, creating outside the structure, and using his instinctive movement inside the pocket. But over the last few weeks, that element has been missing. That hit he took near the goal line changed the way he moves, and you can tell he's avoiding those improvised scrambles that usually keep defenses honest. It's affected his mobility, but even so, he's still attacking in the air, still hitting deep throws, and still keeping the Buccaneers competitive with aggressive decisions. His accuracy on vertical shots has been impressive, and he keeps taking them despite not having his full receiving group available. And speaking of receivers, Tampa Bay has been juggling pieces everywhere. Mike Evans is out. Chris Godwin has barely played. That leaves a ton of responsibility on young players who weren't expected to carry the offense this early. Aimchai Buka has stepped into the spotlight and quickly become one of their most reliable options. He can win deep, win short, win over the middle. He's versatile and explosive and already looks like a long-term starter. Tez Johnson, small but unbelievably quick, has emerged as a change-of-pace weapon who injects energy into the passing game when they want to create separation underneath. The story continues in the backfield. Bucky Irving, a player with that make-you-miss ability in tight spaces, has only played a handful of games. And without him, Tampa's run game evaporated. They've relied on quick passes and tried to supplement the run with screens because they simply couldn't get production handoffs. With Irving likely returning this week, that changes. He's not a burner, but he's shifty, creative, and someone who can turn a broken play into positive yardage. That's exactly the kind of style Baker thrives with. And you can't talk about Tampa without acknowledging their offensive line. Tristan Wirfs anchors the left side as one of the absolute elite tackles in football. Luke Goedeke on the right side has stepped into his own and become a reliable force. But the interior is where things get shaky. They've lost guards, replaced them with depth players, and patched things together as best as they can. To their credit, these replacements are veterans with plenty of snaps, so they're not overwhelmed, but they're still not on the same level as the rest of the line. From Buffalo's perspective, that detail matters. The best way to disrupt Baker Mayfield is through interior pressure. He can navigate around edge rushers all day, but when you collapse the pocket right in front of him, that's when his accuracy drops and the rhythm of the Buccaneers' offense stalls. And considering Tampa still prefers to pass the ball at a high rate, this becomes a huge key for the Bills. They have to force Mayfield off his spot, especially with him dealing with that injury. One thing Buffalo must be ready for is the deep ball. Tampa Bay is not shy about it. Even without a full receiving core, they still push the ball down the field. Baker lives for those chunk plays and attacks vertical spaces whenever he recognizes a matchup he likes. And historically, the Bills don't face many deep attempts, but with Tampa, that trend will likely change quickly. There's also the reality that Mayfield has gotten away with some dangerous throws this year. The number of passes that should have been intercepted is higher than the actual turnovers he has produced. If the Bills get their hands on the ball, they have to finish the play. No drop picks. No missed tackles on receivers who thrive after the catch. No letting Baker spin away for sacks. He's slippery in the pocket, and if you give him a second chance, he will turn nothing into 20 yards in a heartbeat. This is also a moment where Tampa might finally feel like they have something close to a complete offense again. Chris Godwin returning changes the entire passing structure. He's the possession receiver who keeps drives alive, converts third downs, and works the middle of the field better than almost anyone on the roster. Irving returning gives them a spark in the run and screen game. Combine that with Igbuka emerging as a legitimate threat and Godic and Wirfs holding down the edges, and suddenly Tampa becomes far more dangerous than what they have shown in the last 3 weeks. And this is exactly why Buffalo's defense needs to be locked in from the opening whistle. The Buccaneers have looked inconsistent, but that inconsistency disappears quickly when their key weapons are healthy. They're a team that feeds off momentum. If they hit an early deep ball, or if Irving rips off a couple creative runs, or if Godwin starts heating up on intermediate routes, the entire offense elevates. This matchup is a test in every sense. Tampa has been dealing with injuries, but they've remained disciplined, remained competitive, and remained aggressive. Baker Mayfield continues to play like a revitalized quarterback who refuses to let the Buccaneers slide. And with reinforcements likely returning just in time, Buffalo faces a challenge that demands intensity, discipline, and sharp execution on every snap. Now shifting the focus to how this Buffalo offense lines up against Tampa Bay's defense. There's a real opportunity here for the Bills to dictate the pace, stretch the field, and finally take advantage of mismatches that have been sitting right there waiting to be exploited. Tampa has built its identity on being physical, aggressive, and disruptive up front, but this year that consistency hasn't shown up the same way. They still have big names, still have players with the ability to take over a drive, but the execution has been hit or miss, and Buffalo has the type of offense that can expose those cracks if it stays patient and leans into what it does best. The heart of Tampa's defense is still their front seven. They love bringing pressure and crowding the line of scrimmage, disguising blitzes until the last possible second, forcing quarterbacks to adjust protections and receivers to adjust routes on the fly. But this season, their timing hasn't always been in sync. They leave windows open in the intermediate range, and that's exactly the zone where Buffalo thrives when the passing game is flowing. If the Bills keep the ball coming out quickly, mixing in those rhythmic throws that get Josh Allen into a groove, they can control the tempo early. Tampa is vulnerable to passes that attack the seams and the soft spots behind the linebackers, and Buffalo has the personnel to punish that repeatedly. And speaking of the linebackers, Tampa's group is fast, but they've been giving up more ground and coverage than they usually do. They're aggressive, they'll fly downhill at the first hint of a run, and that can be used against them. Play action has been particularly effective against this defense, especially when it moves the pocket or creates crossing routes that force defenders to chase instead of reacting downhill. This is a game where the Bills can really put stress on that part of the field if they commit to varying their looks, forcing Tampa to defend every blade of grass. Up front, Tampa still has strong anchors on the defensive line, but the consistency against the run has been unpredictable. There are drives where they look impenetrable, shutting down lanes before they develop, and then out of nowhere they'll give up a burst because a run fit slipped or someone got sealed off on the edge. Buffalo doesn't need to dominate on the ground, but it does need enough of a run threat to keep the Buccaneers honest. Even small gains matter against a defense that sells out to collapse the pocket. If you force their linebackers to hesitate even half a second, everything else opens up. And there's another angle here that plays directly into Buffalo's strengths. Tampa struggles with mobile quarterbacks. They do not like when plays extend beyond structure, and their pass rush can get reckless when trying to contain someone who can roll out, move the pocket, and attack open space. Josh Allen has the exact skill set that frustrates this defense, especially when he uses his legs strategically rather than relying on them as the first escape option. Tampa tends to lose leverage when plays break down. They overpursue. They lose track of routes behind them. That's where Buffalo can create huge moments. In the secondary, Tampa's corners are capable, but they are very up and down. They can make physical plays on the ball one drive and then give up separation the next because their technique slips or their reaction is a beat late. The safeties have also taken inconsistent angles in deep coverage, which opens the door for double moves and vertical shots. The Bills don't need to force deep throws, but the opportunities will absolutely be there if they build momentum underneath. Tampa's defense is the type that cracks when you force them to defend long drives. They get impatient. They start to jump routes. They try to create a turnover instead of sticking to the exact assignment. That's when Buffalo can take the top off the defense. What Buffalo needs most in this matchup is discipline. Tampa thrives when opponents make mistakes. They feed off turnovers, off tipped balls, off miscommunication between quarterbacks and receivers. They love when a team abandons the run too early or forces a throw into coverage. Buffalo cannot hand the momentum. If the Bills stay balanced, stay composed, and stay aggressive without becoming careless, they will move the ball consistently all afternoon. And this might be the perfect game for the Bills to get there tight and more involved. Tampa struggles when they face bigger bodies who can sit in zones, win contested catches, and create walls of separation in the middle of the field. This is a matchup where the tight ends can control key downs, especially on third and medium. Tampa rarely concedes easy yards, but they absolutely give up completions if you attack methodically and force them to react instead of attack. Buffalo also has the chance to take advantage of Tampa's tackling issues. There have been too many plays this year where the Buccaneers get bodies near the ball, but don't bring the ball carrier to the ground. Missed tackles have turned 5-yard completions into explosive plays. If the Bills keep the ball in space, let their receivers turn upfield, and make Tampa's defenders finish plays instead of just arriving to the scene, they can generate yardage without needing heroic throws. This matchup is all about Buffalo's ability to stay in rhythm. If Josh Allen avoids unnecessary risks and leans into the quick game early, Tampa will start to back off their pressure, and that's when the Bills can strike. They can dictate matchups, isolate corners, and attack the safeties with layered concepts. The blueprint is right there. Spread them out, force them to chase, and don't allow their blitz packages to control the flow of the game. The Bills have the perfect opportunity to bounce back, make a statement, and show that this offense can control a game from start to finish when it plays with patience and confidence. This Buccaneers defense will give you chances. You just have to recognize them and seize them before they close the window. So as the Bills prepare to take on this defense, the formula becomes a mix of patience, precision, and timely calculated aggression. Tampa will bring pressure. They will disguise coverages. They will take risks. And the Bills must be ready to absorb the chaos and turn it into advantages whenever the moment presents itself. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. There's a buzz swirling through the AFC that's too loud to ignore. Kendall Fuller, the seasoned cornerback known for his sharp instincts and veteran presence, is reportedly joining the Buffalo Bills. While no official announcement has hit the wires yet, insiders close to the situation are whispering that the deal is essentially done, and the timing couldn't be more perfect for Buffalo's playoff ambitions. Fuller, long respected for his disciplined coverage and ability to read quarterbacks like an open book, brings exactly the kind of leadership and reliability the Bills' secondary has been missing. After several seasons bouncing between standout moments and nagging inconsistency, the team's defense looks poised to gain the stability it's been craving. The idea of Fuller lining up in a unit already brimming with talent has fans in Western New York buzzing with anticipation. Those who follow the Bills closely know that the team has been searching for that missing piece in the backfield, someone who can keep up with the AFC's high-flying offenses and shut down top receivers in clutch moments. If the rumors prove true, Fuller might be that piece. His combination of football IQ, experience, and calm under pressure could make all the difference as Buffalo eyes another deep postseason push. The move, if confirmed, also sends a clear message to the rest of the conference. The Bills are all in. The AFC has been a battlefield of elite quarterbacks and explosive offenses, and Buffalo's front office seems determined to keep pace. For now, it's still whispers and sideline chatter. No official statement has emerged from team executives or Fuller's camp, but the smoke is thick, and in the NFL, that usually means there's fire. Bills fans are already dreaming of what their defense could look like with Fuller wearing blue and red, locking down corners and keeping the dream alive in Orchard Park. One thing's certain, if the rumors are real, the AFC balance of power may have just shifted, and Buffalo could be right back in the thick of it. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.